you want to put that up here so it doesn't fall off? You're welcome to. Got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we ready? Okay. We really should first start with the undeniable fact that our community suffered a terrible, terrible tragedy on August 26, 2017. Many, many lives were forever changed. Sean Wolcott, 22, of Elkhart, was killed. Bradley Smith, 22, of Elkhart, was gravely injured. His 8-month-old daughter, Dolly, was killed. His sister, Courtney, only 11 years old, was killed. Allison Smith, 22, of Elkhart, was also injured. Although it appears that many people who seem to be very vocal on social media think they may know what happened that night, the police have been diligently doing their job to complete a very thorough investigation and preserve the integrity of the evidence that will be material to proving this case in the criminal justice system. And let me be crystal clear. This case will not be tried on Facebook. It will not be tried in the media. It will not be tried in anything other than a court of law. The case will proceed through the criminal justice system with respect for the Constitution and the laws of the state of Indiana, which protect due process rights of every person accused in this great country. It will not be on the streets of Elkhart. It is now an appropriate time to discuss some limited information in the case. Today, I filed formal charges regarding the case. These criminal charges were filed against Penelope Grossweiler, age 40, of Elkhart, and Leonard Grossweiler, age 42, of Elkhart. This begins the formal court process of seeking justice. These charges allege that Penelope Grossweiler was driving the vehicle that struck all of the victims and left the scene. She then attempted to hide evidence of the crime. She's being charged with 3 counts of leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death. These are all level 5 felonies in the state of Indiana. There is 1 count of leaving the scene of an accident resulting in serious bodily injury. This is a level 6 felony in the state of Indiana. She's charged with 1 count of leaving the scene of an accident resulting in injury, which is a Class A misdemeanor in the state of Indiana. She is also charged with a count of obstruction of justice, and this addresses a different aspect of the crime. Obstruction of justice is a level 6 felony. Her husband, Leonard J. Grossweiler, is charged with 1 count of obstruction of justice, a level 6 felony. This alleges that he attempted to hide evidence of Penelope's crime. Both Penelope and Leonard remain innocent until proven guilty of these charges, as I indicated, in a court of law. As I have previously discussed, the investigation consists of witness statements and a significant amount of additional information in an attempt to corroborate or contradict the information that has already been collected. Efforts to locate and document the collateral information is truly imperative, and they do take significant time. The forensic analysis, location of additional possible witnesses, location and documentation of other types of corroboration have to be pursued, not only in this case, but in every other case. But in this case, due to the amount of information that we were receiving, there was so many efforts by police to track down and either corroborate or contradict that information. Now, unlike the public commentary that is so prevalent right now, the state may only rely on evidence that is admissible in a court of law and is subject to cross-examination to demonstrate its credibility. Credibility is the most important thing. Accordingly, when it is time for the case to proceed to trial, the evidence will fully come to public knowledge. But until then, we are very limited in what we can disclose under the rules of professional conduct. What I will disclose, and what is in the affidavit of probable cause, which is public record in this case, do identify the driver of the vehicle as a female. After Leonard Grossweiler contacted fellow employees at his place of work with a false story as to why his vehicle was left at that location, those employees discovered that vehicle and shared that information with police. Further investigation then led to Leonard Grossweiler's wife, Penelope, who gave multiple inconsistent versions of her actions of August 26, 2017. A review of cellular telephone records, internet records, and information from a company that produces a specific software application documented that Penelope's versions were in fact false. These records provided significant evidence in documenting that both Leonard and Penelope's cellular telephones were traveling down Beardsley Avenue at the time of the crash. At the time, the Smith family and friends were hit, injured, and killed. I've charged this case based upon a very critical review of the evidence in conjunction with Indiana law. If any additional evidence continues to come to light, now that this has truly become public, if it is deemed forward, as again, I am limited by the rules of professional conduct as to what I can disclose in pretrial publicity. Further evidence will have to come to light at trial, not here. This is not the appropriate forum. I'm providing this information at this time as we are ready to move the process forward in the proper judicial setting. The court has reviewed these charges. Warrants have now been issued regarding Mr. and Mrs. Grossweiler. Their charges were filed in Elkhart Circuit Court, and upon their arrest, then a date for the initial hearing will be set. At that time, they will be produced in court, and then they will be advised specifically of the charges for each, what the maximum and minimum penalties are, any deadlines in the case, in addition to further information that will be helpful to their attorneys as they go forward. Now, Penelope Grossweiler is facing a maximum on all of the counts of 21 and a half years. This would be of imprisonment. The minimum time is no prison at all. Leonard Grossweiler is facing a maximum time of 2.5 years incarceration and a minimum of no prison time at all. Each could face a maximum fine of up to $10,000. The court and the state are bound to these possible sentences based upon the current status of Indiana law. I want to reiterate that this case should be tried in a court of law, not a public opinion. Public opinion is generally not fully informed, and oftentimes it is based on emotional reactions rather than objective, critical review of actual facts and evidence. The court system is set up for this purpose. It's an adversarial court system, which means that each item of evidence can be tested under cross-examination and through further investigation. This court system is the system to which I've sworn an oath, and I will honor it as your public servant. But again, this is not the forum to try the case in public opinion. I will accept questions at this time, recognizing that very limited facts, in addition to what I've already said, could potentially be discussed. Yes, ma'am.
We've heard rumors that this couple is in Florida. Is there any concern here about extradition?
No. You know, the nice thing about Indiana law and about warrants on felony charges is that they can be served across state lines as well as across national territories.
So you're not worried about having to bring them back locally?
No. If we have to cross that bridge, we will. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any indication that intoxication of any kind from the driver at the time?
The charges do not reflect that. The evidence does not reflect that at this time. Yes, sir.
What role did the homicide unit play in the investigation it was recently formed what role did it play in this investigation?
You are correct. The homicide unit was formed very shortly before this occurred. And on the 26th, this event occurred. On the 27th, another homicide occurred. Homicide normally would not respond to a vehicular death unless it appears that the vehicle was intentionally used as a weapon. And since homicide was working the Lynell Williams case at that time, All discussions with Elkhart Police Department ended in Elkhart Police Department taking full responsibility for the hit-and-run investigation. Now, there has been some collaboration. Both teams have worked together very closely, but Elkhart Police Department deserves all of the credit for this investigation.
Could you explain or maybe give us a little more detail if there were any other individuals in the vehicle at the time, or was it just the two?
I can't answer that question due to my limitations. Thank you. Yes,
They were out of state?
pardon me?
They are out of state right now?
I don't have information on that. It's merely a rumor.
How do you spell Grossweiler?
Grossweiler.
Like Penelope's
Penelope.
Did you have their ages?
Yes, Leonard is, I believe, 40. I believe he is 42. Yes, and Penelope is 40.
Can you explain why investigations like this take so long to put together and for you to give us more information as
Absolutely. As I indicated, we don't have the luxury of just taking what one person says and saying, okay, this is what occurred. Law enforcement officers are obligated to take effort to do additional investigation and determine, is there any other evidence that could corroborate or contradict whatever information we're getting from witness statements. And that's exactly what they did in this case. Not only did that lead them down additional paths so that we could locate collateral evidence, such as videos, audios, internet information, cellular telephone records. These are the kinds of pieces of evidence that help complete the entire picture. And because of those types of evidence, we were actually able to come to a conclusion and make decisions in this case. Without review of those kinds of pieces of evidence and then an attempt at further forensic analysis of some video evidence, we were not comfortable saying to a degree of certainty necessary that we were ready to file charges. However, because they were so thorough and diligent and took every avenue that they could to have these forensic evaluations done, even though they take time, it is better to do it right the first time than to just ignore it and go forward without being fully educated. So these things take sometimes months. For example, there are DNA, not in this case, but there are DNA cases that it takes us 6 to 9 months to get DNA results. That means we are going to hold off on filing charges that are based exclusively on that type of evidence until we are confident that it has credibility and means what we think it means. So nothing happens like it does on television. It's not just we think this happened, therefore we can move. We have to be professional and we have to be thorough in the investigation. And I'm not going to make a decision that moves quickly at the expense of making the correct decision.
Did they own the vehicle they were driving?
I'm not going to answer that at this time. They were able to come into contact with them because of that vehicle, but additional information about that would have come out at trial.
Is there an approximate timeline on when you hope they will be taken into custody?
I can't say. A lot depends. Like I said, the warrants were issued today, so that part of the formal process has begun. So now it depends on what type of time it takes to serve the warrants.
Criminal record you can talk about for the Grossweilers?
No, I cannot discuss that kind of thing.
Are they from Elkhart?
Yes, they are both from Elkhart.
Is there anyone else in the car with them?
That's not information that I can provide at this time as far as who else may be in the car with them.
You're saying that it was just an accident? They didn't
Well-
know these people? There was no...
Well, define accident. It depends on how people perceive things. I cannot really articulate what was going through either one of their heads at the time. I think it would be nothing but speculation to do so. That's not something I'm willing to do.
When did police find the suspect vehicle?
Police found the suspect vehicle within just a couple of days.
Okay.
And
And where
that-
was that found?
That was found at a specific location in Elkhart County, and that was through the assistance of people here, citizens of Elkhart County.
Can you say where it was found?
No,
Or-
thank you.
Okay.
What about this app you mentioned, the Direct Line?
I'm not going to be specific about the app. It is a very common application, software application.
In terms of timing of this, as you said, the warrants are out. It's a matter of finding them, bringing them into custody so they can
be charged formally, but in terms of, you mentioned that there is a process to this, wanting to do it right. Obviously, it's happening in August, but even though you had the vehicle, you weren't comfortable going ahead and issuing the arrest immediately. But in terms of providing some level of relief, if you can call it that, to the Smith family, what can you say about that at this stage?
Our highest responsibility is ensuring that evidence has integrity, it is credible and reliable, and that is admissible in a court of law before we will act. And I can tell you right now that while we've had quite a bit of contact with the family, originally it was Elkhart Police Department working directly with the family. I personally met with all of the local family and some via telephone today, and I explained to them that while I can never appreciate and understand the trauma and grief that they are going through, they have to understand that my job is to ensure that justice is done. Yes, we absolutely will help them in understanding what the process is, limited information about what the evidence will be, but our job is to ensure that the Constitution is protected, that the laws of the state of Indiana are protected, and that we seek justice on behalf of the people of Elkhart County, not just the specific family. This has affected our entire community, and it has completely disrupted what we call the peace and dignity of Elkhart County. And because of that, we work for all of the people, not just one specific group. Now, as I indicated, Elkhart Police Department had been in constant contact with the family representatives of the immediate family affected. I understand that there are numerous people who think they should have been contacted, but we are going to work directly with those who are victim representatives here with us, and that's who we've been working with. So we've had constant contact in one way, shape, or form, and they are very respectful and understand that we want to do the job right because we don't get second chances. So we appreciate their patience, we appreciate what they're going through, but again, we can never truly understand their grief.
You mentioned sometimes you're waiting for evidence to come in before you can officially file charges. Was there something that just happened yesterday or the day before that came in that made it that today you could file?
Approximately 2 weeks ago, we received a final forensic report regarding some evidence that we were looking for. Upon receiving that, then we finalized our decision.
You mentioned, of course, this case has had a lot of public commentary, Facebook, things like this. I mean, obviously, I don't think anybody wants to see a trial through the media. But has that commentary, has the public helped you in this case at all? I mean, you mentioned the employees where the car was found. Has the public kind of helped bring these charges about in any way?
The public that has contacted the police has definitely helped, and we appreciate that about our community. We have such a caring and responsible community. The public that has merely posted on social media, on Facebook, and commented and made things like that, no, it has not helped at all. In fact, it has caused investigators to have to go down many different tangents for people who reported information that was not necessarily accurate, and that has caused some distractions in this case. There is absolutely no reason to be commenting in social media or in an environment like that, and especially not even making threats. I don't care who it is. You have no business doing behavior like that. Let's just behave like adults. Let this go through the system as it's supposed to, and provide some respect for the family that has to deal with this grief.
You mentioned the forensic evidence that came in. What did that evidence reveal that enabled the charge?
I'm not going to disclose what that forensic evidence specifically revealed.
Did Grossweiler's know the Smiths? Or was it random?
I have no information that they knew the Smiths.
Do you expect the Grossweilers to come quietly?
I have no idea what the Grossweilers will be doing at this point in time.
Is there has been any contact happened that you have in, or anything?
I have given courtesy heads up to their attorneys. What happens from there is up to them. Any further questions?